Hey everybody, moving in week 7 of the Any Given Sunday Fantasy Football League. We got a lot going on this week. We got a lot of shift changes. Someone earned their first loss this week. You know who you are. And I'm going to go ahead and start recapping what happened this past week in week 6. We had some good games, some not so good games. Some people moving out of the basement, some people moving into the basement, and some people completely changing their spot in the league overall. But starting with the first game, we had Jameson Fartknockers, my team, taking on Driller and Spiller this week. I had Matt Forte going off for me with 80 rush yards, 77 reception yards, and 2 touchdowns in the big win over Driller and Spiller, who now drops to 3-3, and I improved to 4-2. We had Fluffy Mexican taking on Beats by Ray Rice. Colin Kaepernick showing up for him on Monday night. 38.85 points, 343 pass yards, and 3 pass touchdowns, and 37 rush yards to add to that. We had the in-house matchup with the Chode taking on Polsky, the husband versus wife matchup, and unfortunately Polsky couldn't pull it off. The Chode moves in the 4th place. She had a big game out of Phillip Rivers with 34.95 points. He had 3 pass touchdowns, 313 yards, and 13 rush yards to add to that. And she got a big game out of Sanu, too, who also had 120 yards and a touchdown.
What's that? What do we got?
Oh, here's we have a clip from the post-game conference with Jazzle Dazzle after her first loss of the season. Let's take a look.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Anyway, we're moving on. We had Jay's team win 123.25 against Jazzle Dazzle this week, giving her first loss. He had a huge Thursday night, going 80 points with 3 players into it, 33.55 out of T.Y. Hilton in a big game. He had 223 reception yards and a touchdown, and Andrew Locke going off again with 370 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, and a fumble. Alright, moving on to the biggest blowout of the week. We had Keystone taking on DRC. He blew out Nate 147.5 to 77. The point margin was 70.5 points. He nearly doubled up Nate's score. Nate, where are you at, Nate? What's going on, buddy? Alright, hopefully Nate shows up next week, but Arian Foster had another big game for Keystone. He's loving Foster right now, going 109 yards rushing, 31 reception yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he also got great all-around effort from all his other players. Kirk Cousins, DeMarco Murray, and his Detroit defense had monster points. All right, moving on to the next segment, our Squeak of the Week. All right, moving on to our Squeak of the Week. We have one guy in this week's Squeak of the Week that is not in unfamiliar territory with being in those narrow margin wins, but unfortunately this time he came out with a loss. The Squeak of the Week got the better of him. Colin's team winning 104.85 versus Sean's team at 103.8. Sean was used to winning by those small margins, and this week it unfortunately bit him in the ass. He lost by 1.05 margin. He had Crabtree going on Monday night. He was making it very close, very tempting. Had Crabtree gotten a 10-yard reception, he would have won the game. But Colin's team had Andy Dalton show up for him in that game. It was the biggest player. He had 26.65 points, 323 pass yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And that is our Squeak of the Week for Week 6. Alright, our highlight of the week goes to a guy who was owned by Beats by Ray Rice, who was unfortunately on his bench this week. He probably could have got him the win with this play alone, but unfortunately he wasn't in the game for him. But he had a decent game this week. Zach Ertz from the Philadelphia Eagles with 47 yards and this touchdown. Let's take a look. Week 7 matchups, big time week. We're about halfway through the season, but we got some good matchups this week. Starting with my matchup against Polski, another in-house rivalry. I'm going to be taking on the Polish motherfucker this week. With I'm projected at 101.07 and he's projected at 109.33. But I got some things up my sleeve. Polski, you better be ready, buddy. But he's at 1-5 in 11th place. Looking to move up the ranks, at least get out of those lower ranks of the league. I am in 4th and looking to hopefully move up in the rankings. Detroit Rock City this week is taking on Beats by Ray Rice. After Beats by Ray Rice got that win the previous week, in week 5, he lost again this week and went back down into the cellars into 12th place. Detroit Rock City is trying hard to join him, though. He's down in 10th place at 2-4. They're looking. Detroit Rock City looks like he has a pretty handsome lead on the projected points, but we'll see what happens. Keystone Crew taking on Driller and Spiller in what looks to be a tight matchup. Keystone Crew moved up into 3rd place this week, and he's at 4-2. And Driller and Spiller is down in 7th at 3-3. They're both projected at Keystone 115 and Driller and Spiller at 116. So that's looking to be a close game. Jay's team, you got the team on the hot streak this week taking on his rival, Sean's team. Both those guys are good friends with each other. But Jay's team is on a 3-game winning streak. Just had that big game against Jazzle Dazzle this week. He moves into 6th. And Sean's team sitting steady at 5th place, biting at my heels at 4-2. Jay's team slightly projected ahead. Jazzle Dazzle looks to bounce back after her loss last week. Too bad she didn't get that perfect record this year, but she still sits in 1st place at 5-1. She's taking on the Chode, who's definitely going to be talking a lot of shit to her. It's going to be a fun time in the house with those two. Jazzle Dazzle slightly projected ahead of the Chode right now. Colin's team in the final matchup of the week taking on the Fluffy Mexican. Colin's team sitting in 8th at 3-3. And Fluffy Mexican moved up a little bit with that win this past week into 9th at 2-4. Colin's team slightly projected 112-90. Alright, those are your week 7 matchups. I'll see you all in week 8. Good luck. You know, it was an amazing game. Hats off to my competitor, but, I have a good game plan for next week. I'm going to fuck her right in the pussy.